And I'm live. I think, yes, I am. Hello. All right, so while we wait for people to get here, it's the last video of the month, which means that I'm going to be talking about books. And obviously, what I've actually decided to do this year is that the books I talk about at the end of the month then go on to form the topic for the next month. So next month, February, is going to be about money magic. So I've got a few books that I want to actually have a look at. The first one, I was actually asked by, I think it was Elizabeth who asked if I've actually done anything on the Magical Cash book by Damon Brand, and I hadn't actually read it until I decided to get it and actually read it. Now, I'm not a great fan of Damon Brand. I think that his books are very basic. They don't actually go into enough detail about the actual spirits that are being evoked and why you're actually doing particular things. They are aimed at a beginner, but I think that the information he's actually putting across is a bit more advanced. For instance, the Magical Cash book, it's a good book. Again, it's a chapbook, so it's very short, it's very basic, and it is directly to the point, but I just feel there isn't enough information in the book. In Magical Cash book, the whole idea is to actually create a book which is dedicated to a particular spirit, and that spirit is Nitika. Now, until I'd read it, I hadn't heard of Nitika, to be quite honest with you. But Damon Brand in his book actually speaks about Nitika being part of Jeff Gray Cobb's books. He actually brought two out in the 70s. I just want to grab the names. So the first one was the Miracle of New Avatar Power, and the second one, which was 1978, was Amazing Secrets of New Avatar Power. And in these books, he speaks about Nitika. But what Damon Brand doesn't mention is that the spirit, because when I was reading the book, I immediately thought that Nitika was just purely a created entity that this Jeff Gray Cobb may have actually created as a servitor. But I went into a bit further, and it turns out that Nitika is one of the spirits in the Noctemeron of Apollonius of Tyana. So I need to actually do a bit more research into this myself. So I'm going to be reading the New Avatar books and the Noctemeron and just see what the whole thing's based on. From what I'm finding online, a lot of people actually swear by Nitika, that it's fantastic spirit, brings money in an instant. So it might be an interesting spirit to actually look into and actually delve into. Now, when I was reading the book, it brought me to mind of the Book of Agaris by S. Connolly. I just want to check on something quickly. Now, she even mentions in her book that she was surprised when Agaris actually mentioned that, the book and he himself could actually be used to manifest anything. So the idea behind that is that you, again, create a book which is dedicated to a spirit. In this case, it's Agaris. And, in the old grimoire, Agaris is one of the spirits of, is one of the Goetic spirits. I just want to check. He teaches languages, stops and retrieves runaway persons, causes earthquakes, and grants noble titles. So for Agaris to be used in a manner which, would actually manifest anything you want to, the Book of Agaris isn't actually particularly aimed at money. money magic, but it can obviously be used for money magic. It is used to manifest anything that you want. And it's a very interesting book. If you want to read that one as well, that one's great. But it brought me to mind of the same thing, because Magical Cash Book is about creating a book which is dedicated to a particular spirit, which you then write into the book the amounts that you actually want to bring into your life, the amounts of money you want to bring in. Whereas the Book of Agaros is about manifesting anything. And when we get into the whole money magic thing, you might see that, aiming for a particular amount is not always what you want to do. Especially if you want to actually create wealth on the long-term basis. And even that, when we speak about wealth, when we speak about prosperity, when we speak about being rich even, this can mean different things to many different people. So, aiming broadly and aiming too specifically might not be the way to go. But we're going to get into all of that when we speak about money magic next month. Now, there are a couple other books. And by the way, I actually want to say, if you haven't subscribed to Scribd, very good. Now, I remember Scribd years back when basically it was just people uploading, pirated books just so they can download something that they want to actually read. But now it's actually become quite a good platform. I actually saw that my books were on Scribd, and I wanted to know who had uploaded them, because I haven't looked at it since then. That was years back. And found out that my books were actually being sold on Scribd through Smashwords, because I publish through Smashwords as well. So if you're an author, you might want to actually look at this. If you're just somebody who likes to read books, it's brilliant. I mean, what is it, $8.99 a month, I think, and you can read as many books as you want, and the authors get paid. So, win-win actually. Okay, so getting back to two books that I read that I wouldn't actually recommend. I thought Damon Brand's books were basic, but these two are just so far out there, it's unbelievable. So the first one is Goetic Money Magic by Abraxas Kroll. One of the things I didn't like about the book specifically was that he actually speaks about the Goetics. And, the Lesseky of Solomon is also called the Goetia, and where the term comes from, actually, which means the howling. And therefore, the 72 spirits that are in that book, in the grimoire, are the Goetic spirits. But he goes further than that, and he carries on that all of the spirits of all of the grimoires, the old classic grimoires, are Goetic spirits. So, somebody who's working in the framework of demonolatry, it's a bit of an oversight that should have been corrected, in my opinion. This is all my opinion. Just bear that in mind. The other one was Money Magic, a chaos magic approach, and that was by, I'm just trying to find the author's name, Lars Helvete. Also, way too basic to actually make anything significant out of it. And so, anyway, those are the two books I wouldn't recommend. Now, two books I do recommend. The first one is by Frater UD. Let me just get down to, where was it now? Was it there? Yes, it's this one. It's called Money Magic, Mastering Prosperity in Its True Element. And the other one is Jason Miller's book, which is called Financial Sorcery. Now, these are the two absolutely excellent books. Frater UD's book goes a lot more into the Mercury aspect, actually. It goes through a couple of other planetary aspects, but it goes specifically into the Mercury aspect, which is actually really good, especially nowadays, with the fluidity of money and stuff like that. When we were bartering back in the day, Earth and Jupiter would have been the primary element and planet in that sense, because money I say money because, if we go right back to the first bartering system, it wasn't really money. It was bartering one item for another. And therefore, it was very earth-based. But nowadays, money is fluid. It's electronic. So it becomes more of an aspect of the element of air and of mercury. So, looking into mercury in that fashion is actually really the way to go. Hi, Andrea. No, it's fine. Don't worry. You can always watch it afterwards and catch up at the beginning. Then we have Jason Miller's book. Now, Jason Miller, I think he writes good stuff. There is a lot of stuff that he talks about which I disagree with, especially when it comes to the demons of the grimoires. He basically sees them as evil spirits that are going to beat you up and, drag you through hell and things like that, which I have a completely different viewpoint. But that's fine. Everybody has their viewpoints. But as far as the money magic aspect goes, he goes more into Jupiter. But again, nothing wrong with that. Jupiter, it's actually mentioned in Frotty UD's book that Jupiter can be seen if you break it down into kind of like a company. You have your managing director at the top. So you might have an idea and you'll go to the managing director and pitch that idea, and then he'll like it or she'll like it. And then you actually implement the project. But all the little bits and pieces of the project, you wouldn't keep going back to the managing director. You'd go to other parts of the team or other team members. And, you might go to the graphics for the marketing and or the marketing division themselves. But you've got all these different aspects and different bits and pieces of the project. And Jupiter is therefore kind of like the big guy at the top. And then you create the empire below, which is very interesting, actually. The way you actually view Jupiter versus Mercury and even Venus in your money magic. So anyway, as I say, we're going to get into all of that next month when we go through the whole thing. Do you find Florence Scovel Shinn's books and audio to be of help? I haven't actually heard of the author. Finding them rather hypnotic. I'll have a look into them, Andrea, and let you know what I think about them. Okay, so from the money magic point of view, from books, and what we're actually going to get into next month, I think that covers most of it. So if anybody's got any questions about anything, it doesn't need to be about money magic and what we're doing next month. You can ask about anything. Ask away. I'm just going to drink coffee quickly because I need a sip. All right, let's just see who we've got on the chat. It's not showing me. All right, so as I say, this is a live. You can ask whatever question you want to, and we'll get into whatever topic you want to discuss. It might give me an idea of what to do the month after February, if you've got any particular interests. I'm doing money magic next month because Elizabeth actually asked about it, and Willows? What's Willows about? No, don't know what that's about. Lizzie is a bit of a card, isn't she? Anyway, back to what I was saying. What was I saying? Oh yes, money magic. So I'm doing it because Elizabeth asked about it, and I realized, this channel is about magic and manifestation. So that's why I wanted to get a bit into money magic, and I'm mostly going to cover it from the point of view of actually from the point of view of the entrepreneur, because I did have the idea of creating a whole course, etc., for the magical entrepreneur right at the beginning of when I started this channel and started down this little path of mine, this new path. So I want to actually continue with that. But there's been a lot of development in the channel over the months. It's been just over a year now. So it's taken more of a magical perspective than rather just law of attraction and manifestation, really. But I still want to go down that path. And money magic obviously is something that falls under that category. All right, so still waiting for questions. If anybody's got questions. Otherwise, I might start rambling about something or other. Andrea thinks the YouTube algorithm is set against me. It's not actually, Andrea. It's actually difficult to create a channel on YouTube and actually get to the point where it is significant. It actually takes quite a while. But if you keep going, like I have been, doing my videos constantly at the same time every week, it does help. If they're sporadic and things like that, then it doesn't actually help the algorithm much. But I have noticed that the subscribers are starting to actually pick up more and more. But I still need to get to 1,000, and that might take. Once I've hit 1,000, I think it should actually start picking up quite a bit then. But it does take a long time. No, some people can hit it first try. Not sure really how they do it. I've been following all the rules and everything else, but maybe it's the subject. Magic is becoming more popular, but I do think it is going more in the direction of manifestation, law of attraction, even The Secret, which was written a few years ago, rather than the hardcore magic stuff. But I mean, magic can be used for manifestation techniques and law of attraction. It's just that everybody's getting into these new formats rather than looking into the old and tested stuff. These other double entendres. Man was roaring with you. Oh, that video. Yes. I couldn't. I had willies on the brain. That was quite bad. Thought she might find that quite funny. Okay. Any questions? Anybody? I haven't actually got that many people on today. Actually, Andrea, I think it might just be you on today. Thanks for being here. Have you got any subjects you'd actually like to go through? I think, last month we did traditional witchcraft. I don't think we actually covered half of what I could have covered, actually. Didn't really get into ancestors. I've spoken about it in the past, but, ancestors being us, really, but it's actually quite an expansive topic. There's a lot of subjects in traditional witchcraft which we could have actually covered, I think, a lot more. I wanted to try and keep each topic to a month, but I'm not sure that's actually going to be possible. I may need to extend. Oh, and if anybody hasn't checked out my website recently, leewjohnson.com, I have changed it. I think it looks a lot better than what it did. Oh, Andrea, I see where the Willie's Willows. The Willy Withs. I have put 2 and 2 together now. Did kind of fly through the whole book thing, didn't I? How to get money and how to manifest towards my ideas to buy, rent land, to help homeless and other vulnerable people. Yeah, we're definitely going to get into all of that next month. I think the main thing about, yes, we can definitely have a chat about it. I think the main thing about understanding money magic is that, you know, people speak about wealth and being rich. Something interesting that's actually mentioned in Jason Miller's book is that if you view it worldwide, I can't remember the exact number. It was the top 10% of the richest people in the world, worldwide, not just in America or the UK or South Africa or wherever, but worldwide. The top 10% earn, I think it was $19,000 a year, which when you actually equate that back to a specific country, it's kind of interesting to actually see what rich means. So, I mean, I'm basically in the bracket of rich. So for me to say, just say I want to be rich means absolutely nothing to the spirits or to my higher self or my holy guardian angel or anything like that. It means absolutely nothing because they'll just sit there and go, but you already are compared to the world. So very broad things like that, it's actually not a good thing. And if you go too specific, then you actually kind of, you bypass all the possibilities that could happen. Whereas if you aim your intent towards a particular lifestyle, then spirits, the deities, the demons, the spirits that you're actually working with, the planetary aspects, whatever it is that you're actually working with, are not limited to a particular amount. So let's say you want $100 instantly. And, let's just imagine the spirits looking around for this $100 and it comes across something that could bring you $500, but you didn't ask for $500, you asked for 100. So it just forgets about that part and carries on looking for the $100. Oh, this one's $110, but you asked for $100, so we'll forget about that one as well. So being too specific about the money you want can actually be detrimental to what you're actually looking for. So that's why, especially on a long-term basis, you have to build up that energy to actually bring in a particular amount on a constant basis, but not even a particular amount, an amount that will actually align style that you're actually wanting to achieve. Best to learn about other traditions. We'll have a look at some other traditions. At the moment, this year, I'm actually focusing on the Toltec path, Carlos Castaneda, but also going into Victor Sanchez and things like that. So, maybe a bit later in the year, I'll have a more specific look at that. The Toltec path is something that I was interested in several years ago, and it's come up every now and again over the years. But I'm getting very specific about it this year, and just following that tradition mostly. You are usually much more on the ball. Lizzie's giggling. Oh, questions? I hang about. Oh no, hang around. Don't worry, I'm here. I'm not going to go anywhere yet. It's only been 25 minutes. But yeah, about the whole money magic thing. So I don't want to give away too much because otherwise I'm not going to have anything for the videos during the month. But I think that's the main thing, is to actually go about how you go about actually doing your money magic. Especially people who they watch all these videos on manifestation techniques, and I've said this in the past as well. And you try doing these manifestation techniques, but in most cases, you're already in a position where you are desperate. And that desperation doesn't help with your manifestation. Because the problem there is that you try out visualization, or you try this technique, or you try that technique, and the whole thing behind those techniques is that the whole driving force really is that you need to actually bring yourself into a position where you already have those things you're trying to manifest, and actually sense it, feel it, actually be in that moment. And when you're in a desperate situation where you are broke and you are about to be kicked out of your house, and you're going to get everything taken away from you because you've lost your job, or clients are just not paying you, or whatever the reason is, and you're in that desperate situation, the problem there is that you bring that desperation into your manifestation, and because it's a ruling factor in yourself, that becomes a ruling factor in your manifestation. So what you end up doing inadvertently is actually manifesting more desperation. So to try and get out of that is very difficult. But you can work in a manner whereby you are actually working long term. And because you're working long term, you're bringing those energies in slowly. So you're not just trying to manifest X amount of money because you need to pay the rent. And then you are, because you're in that desperate state, you're bringing more desperation in, and the money doesn't manifest, and you think, well, this is a lot of crap. These things don't work. But it's not because people are doing it wrong. It's because as I say, they've got that desperation that comes in, instead of doing the whole manifestation properly. But until you actually start seeing the ball rolling, and that desperation starts disappearing, to try and get over that is really difficult. So if you do it long term and you work with the energies on a constant basis, then what happens is you start bringing those energies into your life. And if you work toward a particular lifestyle, the universe or spirit, or whatever you want to call it, needs to try and adjust in order for that lifestyle to actually be a reality, because you're constantly thinking of that lifestyle. So it needs to adjust in order to align to that. And in order to do that, it needs to bring in more money to actually make that lifestyle apparent and realistic. So in the end, money is just a means to an end. That's all it really is. And money magic itself is actually a relatively new thing. If you look at the old magic books and things like that, there wasn't really a lot spoken about money magic. And I think maybe because the old magicians, if you read the stuff that you have to set up this temple and that temple, and you have to, if you look at the Bremerlin operation, for instance, you're supposed to separate yourself from life, from your ordinary life, from your business and your home and everything else, and actually work on this for whatever period it states. I mean, some people say it's 6 months, some people say it's 18 months, to try and actually reach knowledge and conversation of your holy guardian angel. For some, it could be an instant second. For others, it could take several years. So to try to remove yourself from society and from your business and everyday matters to do this magic means that you're already rich. So you don't need to do any money magic. And in the Victorian era, a lot of people were, they were funded. They probably had some rich person who wanted to get the philosopher's stone. It could have been the king or the queen of the country, and you were hired to actually do the work in alchemy and magic and everything else. So didn't need to do money magic. So money magic is a relatively new thing, and people have only just started talking about it over the last probably 2, maybe 3 decades. And so I remember when I started in magic and witchcraft and everything else, when anybody brought up the issue or any kind of spell work which involved money, the attainment of money, anything around money, it was always earth. You went to the element of earth. But now we're realizing that it's not. You need to actually work with the element of air. But there are a lot of aspects and a lot of ways you can actually bring more money into your life, and one of them is to actually give it away. I remember years back when I started talking to Jacobus Swart. One of the things he actually mentioned to me was that if you are really down on your luck and you've got no money coming in and you've just got a bit of money left, go and buy the most expensive suit you can find, dress yourself up, get the attitude of that you are rich and you are wealthy and you have loads and loads of money, and walk out into public. And you've given your last bit of money away, you bought this new suit, and because it went out with the attitude of bringing it back in, it goes back into circulation. So if the money goes back into circulation where it lives, where it wants to be, it doesn't want to be stuck in your purse or your wallet. It doesn't want to be stuck in a box under your bed. Its home is where money is, and its money's flowing freely. Money needs to flow freely. So if you actually give money away, it comes back to you. And I'm giving way too much away now. I need to actually stop, because as I say, I'm going to have no material left for the rest of the month if I carry on like this. But we'll get a lot more specific during the month. Okay, Andrea, I usually go with my intuition. I definitely put myself happily into twilight sleep, where I smile, feeling abundant, and thank the spirit for already having given it to me. That's exactly how you need to actually do it. But you need to continue with it. You need to try and actually bring that attitude of you've already got it into your everyday life, which I know it can be very difficult. I've been there myself. I've been in a position where I've been completely and utterly broke. And I've dug myself out the hole, and it hasn't been just once, it's been more than once. I really, I ask people, people come say they've got no money, they're broke, and then you look in the fridge and it's full. I've been in a situation where I haven't even been able to buy a loaf of bread. So I know what it's like to be in a situation where you've got absolutely nothing. So I think I can actually speak about money magic quite sufficiently, because it has helped me over the years, definitely has. But that whole feeling of abundance that you actually have to bring in, we can actually look at mirror neurons. They're part of the brain, and it's quite interesting. Definitely behave as if it's fluid energy. Exactly, yes. You need to carry on behaving as if you've got it. It is definitely fluid. It's air, it's mercury. But mirror neurons are very interesting. If you're watching a movie, you might know, if you really, really get into the movie and you get into the main character or one of the characters in the movie, you'll probably recognize how you actually shift your own awareness and you shift your reality into the attitude of this character. Now, while you're watching the movie and you're shifting into this alternate reality, your mirror neurons are actually believing everything that's happening. So if you actually imagine a particular thing, and you imagine it to the point where you are shifting your reality into that situation, and into this new awareness, then your imagination actually becomes real. And it's largely because of the mirror neurons, because the mirror neurons in your brain actually say that even though it's imagination, it is real. It can't distinguish between reality and imagination. And if we go into, especially things like the Toltec path, I'm going through this year. They speak of the left and the right sides of the body, which are the tonal and the nagual. And the tonal is made up of the first awareness and the second awareness. And the first awareness is everything which is physical. It's everything we can see, everything we can feel, everything we can touch. It even goes into everything we can think. Whereas the second awareness is more emotional. It's more about thought and things like that. But still things that we can actually be aware of. Things we can think about, things we can examine, things we can define. Whereas the nagual, which is the third awareness, becomes things that they are the unknowable. So you have the known, the unknown, and the unknowable. And the unknowable we cannot define. Now I've just forgotten what my train of thought was. Where was I? Yes, imagination and reality. So we have these two bodies, and we can shift our awareness from the one body to the other body, from the stalker to the dreamer. And through the dreamer, we can enter different realities, non-ordinary realities. And if we can do that, and we can bring that into our reality, then we can make that reality known to us. It can be part of this reality, for instance. But what I'm trying to get at is that even though you're shifting between this reality that I can touch my desk, I can touch my head, you're watching me on a camera and things like that. This is as fluid as these non-ordinary realities. The problem is that we see it as so solid, because that's how we interact, that's how we understand it. But at the same time, all it is energy. It's all energy flowing from one thing to the other, and it's all that energy flows into other things and into everything. And that energy comes from a source. And if we can therefore change that reality through imagination, then over time, that energy needs to actually click into place, so to speak. And when it clicks into place, it is progressive. It's not instant. It needs to actually start moving in a certain direction. So you're not going to grab it from this point and shift it straight across to this point to create this new reality. It needs to move progressively across. So that's why I say, if we actually do our manifestation techniques long term, bringing that particular energy into our lives, then it makes it more solid. I say solid, but it makes it more real. I'm going to be watching this very closely. Oh, heck, it's a Leo. I become that character. Conversely, if something scary is played out, I become anxious. Exactly. If you're watching a horror movie, you become scared. And most of it is because your imagination is, or your brain's actually thinking it's real, because your imagination is watching the movie. You are watching the movie. Your imagination is making it real. So that's why, if we can imagine things properly, with intent, then we can actually make it into reality. Sorry, my daughter's just walking past and looking at me very funny, because she's scared of being on camera.
No, it's because you looked.
Oh, no, it's because I looked at her. I scare her. Must do. Anyway, so I think I've rambled on enough about the topic of money and money magic for now. We just go through, make sure I haven't missed anything here. Andrea, did you ask your question? Reality is quite an interesting thing. Sorry, Andrew just said reality is a matter of perception. It is, but it's also consensual. If, again, I'm going to go back into Castaneda, it's probably the most recent stuff I've been looking at, and it makes the most sense in this, as this topic and subject goes. Now, he speaks about rings of power, and the rings of power, we have the first ring of power, which you're born with, and what happens is everybody's ring of power overlaps, and what we do is we create reality, and it's consensual reality that we create. We create it with everybody we know and everybody that is around us. And when you're born with the first ring, we don't really have much of a reality. But over time, what happens is your parents, their first ring of power overlaps with yours, and it starts feeding a consensual reality into your perception. Even ourselves growing up, as we meet new people, what happens is we connect energetically to them, and we give them power, and they give us power. But we're giving away our power, and they're giving us their power. But when they meet us, they have a particular perception of who we are, and because we're passing power back and forth and energy, that perception actually gets imprinted onto us. And then we meet the next person, the same thing happens. They have a particular perception of who we are, and the type of person we are, and that perception imprints on us again. So over time, we become the perceptions of other people, and it's why the Toltec path have a very big emphasis on recapitulation, which in this regard is about excuse me, is about actually filling or bringing your power back and giving the power back to the people you've met throughout your life, or the places you've been to, the situations you've been in the events and that have happened in your life and things like that, especially emotional ones. The more emotional a situation or an event, the more power you actually give it. And so a recapitulation is about actually putting your power back, and becoming, it actually repairs your energy body. And through that, you heal. Because over the years, we've actually been giving away our power. And it's something that does drain us. There is self-healing that actually happens, but on a daily basis, we're constantly giving away power, and so it doesn't really have that chance to actually heal properly. So through the conscious act of doing these exercises and the recapitulation, where we're actually consciously pulling our power back, actually helps us to repair our energy body from the damage that's been done throughout the years. And imagination cannot tell the difference. No, definitely can't tell the difference. Well, the thing is, as I say, it's because we have this consensuality or consensus that happens. Reality gets created by all the people that are in our immediate environment, and all right throughout the world, really. We create this reality, and if we can create this reality, and because that reality is actually energy, if you were to see, when I say see, I don't mean with your physical eyes, I mean with your whole body. If you have second sight and you were to actually see this world for what it really is, all it is just energy. It's lines of energy. We create this reality the way we want it to be. For one person to change that reality does take a lot of power, and it's one of the reasons why we do these exercises, such as recapitulation, not doing, and things like that, to actually repair, to bring our energy bodies back into a state which can give us the power. And once we have that power, we can actually change consensual reality. You can make somebody see something that they would have, one instant you are this type of person, the next instant you're that type of person, and then shift back again. If you have the power, but that takes a lot of practice and a lot of, I think basically you have to become a hermit and just work on this 24/7, because it's very difficult during normal life. Are you reading Carlos Castaneda right now? Fascinating stuff. Or they may take our power energy. My nan's very knowledgeable about this, but I do not wish to worry her. I'll ask Nan about it. As I say, I'm going through through Castaneda this year. I have read Castaneda's books in the past. I just found them absolutely fascinating. Some of the things in there were so out of this world. You have to sit back and wonder if he actually did make this up or not. But it seems that there is a lot of, or enough proof, not just from Castaneda's party and the people that were part of his, or team members, part of his party, but from other people who have actually got into this. So Victor Sanchez, very interesting, by the way. He did have communication with Castaneda. He does write about his books, but at the same time, he is very much in contact with the native people. And so he actually takes that perspective and Castaneda's perspective and talks about it, from this new platform, really. So Victor Sanchez is a very good one to actually read. There's a few others that I still need to get into, but I'm not really focusing on Castaneda's books so much this year. What I'm doing is trying to learn what other people have learned. And then obviously apply the exercise and the practice itself to extend my own knowledge, really, and to repair my own energy body. I certainly need to recapitulate. However, I need some assistance repairing and healing. Recapitulation is it's a daily thing you have to do, and what you find is that you might actually start to recapitulate a particular aspect. You might think of the houses that you've moved into, for instance, and you list all the houses, you list events that have happened, and then you break it down even further, and you start recapitulating specific events that happened in the house. Then you go to the next house and you recapitulate that one, you recapitulate the next one. You can recapitulate lovers, sexual partners, you can recapitulate friends, you can recapitulate your family members. But what you do is you go into great detail of events that actually happened with these people, with these places, with these events, and you recapitulate them. So you pull back your power and you repair your energy body. So it is an ongoing and daily practice that you actually need to do. But as you find, as you start doing it, you feel a bit lighter, and there are things in your past which you may have forgotten about. There are also things in your past which you believe happened a certain way, and you've grown up believing that throughout the years. But when you recapitulate and you go back to those memories and you relive those memories, because it is all about reliving the memories. You don't just think of the memories in your physical memory, in your physical body. You think of it from the aspect of your energy body, and therefore you actually relive the memory itself. You feel it, you are in the moment. And what happens quite often is that you realize that what you believed all through these years didn't actually happen. But something may have been a trigger. Something may have happened when you were a child to make you think a particular way or to block you from something. But when you go back and relive the memory, then you might realize that it didn't actually happen that way, and you can reform it. And then you can actually bring back your power, repair your energy body that way. But it really is a long process that you do for the rest of your life. There are particular things that can happen in your life which allow you to spontaneously recapitulate. They're usually traumatic experiences and things like that, because at the point of death, we actually naturally recapitulate. We recapitulate our entire life just before our death. So there are certain events that can happen during your life that will create spontaneous recapitulation. But they are quite few and far between. So to consciously do the exercise and do the recapitulation is something that I think we should all be doing, really, especially as magicians, whether you're a witch, a ceremonial magician, or whatever you are. I think recapitulation is one of those exercises that can help everybody. And, from a psychoanalytic point of view, psychoanalysts tend to focus more on the physical. So people can be in psychotherapy for several years and understand why this particular thing happened in their past, and understand why they feel the way they do now. But with recapitulation, from this perspective, from the Toltec way perspective, we don't just look at the physical, we look at the energetic as well, and we view the memory from the energetic. So we don't just understand why it happened, we actually change it, which is quite advantageous to anybody. I really am rambling about stuff now. And so it's coming up to an hour. I've been talking nonsense for an hour. So if anybody's got any questions, specific questions, better get it in now. Oh, something else I wanted to mention, Andrea, healing. If you're going to do healing for other people, try to learn how to actually channel the energy rather than using your own personal power. That can leave you drained. If you are channeling the energy, look into Reiki. I'm a Reiki master, and whenever I do a treatment on someone, you feel energized afterwards. There's definitely no draining of your own power. You are channeling a different energy source. Solos, wow, I was just about to ask what you began to say. Can there be a benefit to reimagining memories, such as thinking a situation proceeded as triumphant instead of perhaps shameful? Definitely. This is what it's all about. But I think what the main thing you have to bear in mind is that when you reimagine a memory, as I say, you've got the physical body and you've got the energetic body. If you're going to reimagine a memory just from the physical, you're not going to be able to access that memory from the point of view that you need in order to change it. So accessing the memory from the energetic body is completely different. It's not from the physical body, it's just about remembering it. It's a thought. If you are accessing it from the energetic body, you are feeling it. You are putting yourself back into that situation. So you are actually reliving it. And through reliving it, you can actually understand what happened, especially with all the knowledge that you've gained over the years. You can go back, you can understand what happened, you can view it from a different perspective, and you can change the way you actually proceeded forward. So your reaction may have been very reactive at that time. It may have been a situation where somebody made you hate them, or you blocked something. You decided in that instant that you are never going to love anybody again because they hurt you so badly. And it might be, I was reading Victor Sanchez's book about recapitulation, and he goes through a whole story about this little girl named Mary, whose mother wasn't very affectionate. She did love her child. She was a good mother and everything else, but because her parents weren't affectionate towards her, she found it difficult to be affectionate towards this child, Mary. And then her father was very affectionate. He used to play with her and everything else, but one day he loses his job. He goes to a bar, he gets drunk because he's depressed. He comes home the next day, he's depressed, and she runs up to him, wants to play with him. and he just pushes her away, and she falls on the floor, and she's hurt. And she decides in that instant, she's a little girl, but she decides in that instant never to love anybody again. And she grows up to be this beautiful woman, but she has difficulty in relationships because even though she knows she loves a man, she can't actually express it. So all the relationships just end up exploding. So what she can do is go back to that memory of what happened in that instant where her father pushed her down on the floor and said, "Don't bother me," and understand what actually happened, that he'd lost his job, he was depressed. He shouldn't have done that, but it happens. People do crappy things and they regret them afterwards. But it's that trigger, it's that instant hook that happens, and it can't be changed. And you go through life feeling like this. But if you can go back and change it, but in order to do that, you need to actually be in the situation. You need to feel it. You need to sense it. It needs to be real. And then you can view it from a different perspective and actually change it. So you can actually, change anything you want to from your past. And the question will find its way back to me. Thank you for sharing so much knowledge. May I email you? And you are not rambling. Yes, Andrea, of course you can email me. You can email me. Don't need to ask. Okay, so a quick one if anybody's got any questions further. I'll carry on talking, otherwise I'm going to end in a couple of minutes. Let me just have some more coffee. My throat's feeling a bit dry. Of course, it's cold now, but it's still good. All right. So I'm going to end this one now. As I say, we're going to do Money Magic from next week. And we'll still have the lives every Friday at the same time. Yes, thank you. For some reason, I frequently see places from my past in my mind, especially before sleep. Might that be an opportunity? It's actually a very good opportunity if you're seeing them before you sleep, because that's actually a hypnagogic state. So when we actually move, from a waking state into a sleeping state, we often see images, and it's usually random stuff, faces, whatever. It's usually faces. I tend to hear voices as well. If you're seeing events from your past during that time, if you can hold on to them, then definitely try and travel into it and examine the situation and see how you're feeling. If you're feeling the emotions from that situation and from that event, definitely see what you can do with that. That hypnagogic state, if you can actually hold on to it, as I say, it's the between state between waking and sleeping, and it's actually a great place to start astral projection. If you can hold on to it, you can go further into astral projection. So yeah, a great place to be. It's a betwixt place. It's the same as twilight sleep. May I email you later? My childhood could be called very difficult, however, I view it as enchanted, magical. Andrea, you can email me. I bet your nan is laughing at you right now because I'm saying you can email me. You don't need to ask. Thank you, and enjoy that coffee. In fact, I will enjoy the coffee. It's a good coffee. It's nice and strong. And Solo, if you've got further questions, just ask them. There's the comment section as well. You can ask any question you want to, and I'll reply to you. And so anyway, so what was I saying before? So next month we're going to talk about money magic. We've got the lives every Friday. I'll be here at the same time, unless I have what's it called again? Where they've switched the electricity off, load shedding. If we have load shedding unexpectedly, I don't have power, so I won't be able to do the lives, obviously. And they usually spring it on us in the last minute. Do I bring green candles? Bring green candles for money magic. We're going to talk about that because green candles, green is for Venus, which actually is related more to love. But we're going to talk about Venus and how it relates to money magic. But when we talk about green candles, we're usually talking about money because money's green. And also because Earth is usually represented by the color green. And as I said, Earth might not be the best element to actually look for. It's great for a solid foundation, but when we're talking about actually bringing in that flow of money, we're looking more in the element of air. Because it's constant, it's fluid, it's got to keep moving. And if we take money and we put it into Earth, it becomes solid. It can't move anymore. It doesn't want to be solid. It doesn't want to be sitting in one place. Money wants to be where money is best appreciated, and that's moving. So you need to spend money to make money. When it goes out, you have the intent of bringing in more. There's certain spell works you can do that we'll talk about. How to actually charge money. I'll talk about the cash box that Jason Miller speaks about. And we'll talk about money drawing oils, money keeping oils, how to do candle magic regarding money. Talk about all of that. So that's going to be the whole topic of next month. But anyway. All right. So I am going to leave you and love you all. If you've got any questions, as I say, leave them in the comments. If you're watching this after the fact and you haven't subscribed, you know what to do because you're going to love this channel. And so anyway, I will see you next week with more about money magic. And have a brilliant weekend, everybody. Oh, and it's festive celebrations for all the witches. I hope to see lots of witches at the Witches' Sabbat. I was actually there earlier in the week, so I'm not sure I'll get there this weekend. We'll see what happens. And have a brilliant weekend and great celebrations. Cheers.